If someone knew something, piece of information that could help or benefit you, would you want to have the right to decide, or would you want them to keep it to themselves? I'm going to ask it again. If someone knew a piece of information or they knew about something that could somehow benefit or change your life, would you want them to tell you about it so that you could decide, or would you want them to keep it from you? I ask that because it's come up recently on some sales trainings that I've done. Actually, the entire time I've ever been a sales coach, it's come up that people feel salesy, they feel pushy, and they're like, I don't know, I don't want that person to think X, Y, or Z of me, right? Like, I don't want to, here's what was said this morning. I don't want somebody to think that I'm going to benefit from them. What? First of all, why? Why? What's wrong with you benefiting in some way by helping someone else? And the next thing I would ask is, well, don't they have a right to refuse? Like, if you think that there's something that could really help them, and listen, if you don't think that what you're offering can really help somebody, then we should probably have a separate conversation. But if you sell things, and we all do, regardless of whether you have salesperson on your title or not, if you sell things, services, offers, products, whatever, and that thing can legit help someone in some way that maybe they aren't aware of, they don't know about, or maybe people just need some freaking reminders. That's why the fortune is in the follow-up. If you have an offer, a product, a service, whatever it is that can legitimately help someone or change their life in some way. And again, if you don't, if it's not going to help them, let's have a sidebar conversation. But if you do, then you're not hurting anybody by putting an offer in front of them, by offering them something. And don't they have the right to decide for themselves? This idea around like, I feel salesy and I feel pushy. Well, all you're doing is giving somebody a decision to make. And when they do reject you, if they do, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting it. They're saying, no, it's not for me right now. And so one of the things that's really important that we do in any level of conversation around influence or sales or, connecting with somebody over making an introduction to something, we want to clean our own energy around that and remind ourselves what we're doing. Because quite often our perception of salespeople is the very thing that's holding us back from being a helpful resource to somebody else. Because as a salesperson, that's all you are. You're just helping somebody make up their mind. And in order to help them make up their mind, you have to give them something to make up their mind about. That's really what this is, right? A salesperson is just a professional mind maker upper. You're just helping somebody make some decisions. And you got to give them something to make a decision about. And if they're like, I don't need that thing, I don't want that thing, that's not for me. Okay, they've made a decision. It's not for them. And now you can move on to somebody else. But wouldn't it make sense to at least give them the right to refuse, to give them the option? If you have something that legitimately could change someone's life or benefit them in some way that they aren't aware of or that they need to be reminded of again, because many people do, isn't it only fair that you would put it in front of them and let them decide? Because if you were in that position, if somebody had something that could change your life or benefit you in some way, wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to be the one that's like, well, tell me first and I'll tell you if it's for me. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I think that's one of the first things that stands out to me in a lot of the work that I do as a sales coach is we've got to clean up our own energy before going into a conversation. Because when you've got that talk track, that crap, that noise running through your mind that you are being salesy or you're being pushy or you're just trying to, I don't know, trying to what? Like talk somebody into something. I mean, the thing is, if you're really just seeing that as I've got something that could benefit them, I want to introduce them to it. And if it's not for them, at least now I know, because a no is just as good as a yes, because a no is a decision. And a lot of times people get so afraid of hearing no that they don't even go for the yes, or they don't even have the conversation at all. And it reminds me of this time a couple of years ago where I had a client that was she was in this mode. She was very much like, I don't know. I don't want people to feel like I'm being pushy. And we made a list of people for her to reach out to, people that she had been in connection with that had some level of, they were already qualified for the work that she does, or they had some level of interest in it. And so we made this list of 20 people. And I said, great, go start conversations with those 20 people. And then let's talk about it next week. You let me know how it goes, whatever. So she comes back the next week. And I was like, how did it go? She's like, they all said no. I'm like, they all said no. Who said no? She's got this list of 20 people. I'm like, who said no? She's like, well, they all would have said no. I'm like, did you reach out to anybody? Did you start conversations with any of these people? Like, we made this list last week. Did you reach out? She goes, no. I said, oh, why not? She goes, because they all would have said no. I said, oh, they all would have said no. Okay. What makes you say that? She goes, because they just don't need what I have. Okay. So you didn't reach out because they all would have said no. Why do you think that they don't need what you have? Well, I just don't know if they'd want it. I said, okay, so you don't even know if they need what you have, but you're sure that they would all say no. She goes, yeah. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do before we meet next week. I want you to go get 20 no's. And if looks could kill, I would have been dead on that Zoom call. Because she looked at me like I was crazy. And she goes, you want me to go get 20 no's? I said, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you or did you not just tell me that all 20 of those people would have said no if you offered them what you have? She goes, yeah, that's what I said. I said, great. This should be the easiest assignment I've ever given you. Go get 20 no's. And you're probably already able to guess what happened. She came back the following week. She had a big smile on her face. And out of those 20 no's that she got, 6 of them said yes to a further conversation with her. It's a 30% conversion rate on people saying yes to taking further steps. And it came from her having a different approach, saying, you know what, let me just go for, Nicole told me to go get no's. Let me just go get no's, because your no's lead you to your yeses along the way. So this idea that we talk ourselves out of introducing something to somebody because we feel salesy, well, maybe stop making about you, right? Like this idea that, oh, I feel uncomfortable and I don't want to be salesy and I don't want to be pushy. Well, first of all, let's take a step back and get our energy right. Are you trying to hurt somebody with what you do? No. Could it potentially be very beneficial and helpful for them with what you do? Yes. And is the rejection about you? No. Okay, then what do you have to lose by introducing what you have to somebody? Now, there's an art and a science to sales conversations. I'm not saying it's about just go and get your no's and go and reach out. We want to make sure that when we show up, the words that we're using, the way we're introducing things to people, it's important that we develop the skills around that. But the first most important skill is how you talk to yourself and what this actually is to you. And if you're so busy thinking about it being salesy and pushy and you being wrong, if you're reaching out to people, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to stop reaching out to people. And you probably already have. And if you're still listening, that's probably a challenge for you. And don't worry, you are not alone. The cheese does not stand alone. There is a lot of people, very successful people as well, that are in your same position that don't want to feel salesy, don't want to feel pushy. They're worried about what somebody else is going to think about them. But then that's us making it about ourselves. That's us saying, I don't care that this thing could really help you. I feel so uncomfortable introducing it to you that I'm going to withhold it from you. It's more or less what we're saying. And I believe that this isn't easy to just snap out of it. Like, we're humans. We have concerns. We want to make sure that we're showing up in a way that really benefits people. But we've got to step up to that edge. We've got to develop that courage. And courage is a big piece of what you need in sales conversations. And I'm not talking like take on a ferocious tiger courage. I'm not talking jump out of an airplane courage. I'm talking about the courage to ask when the timing is right, because you understand that the ask is you serving the other person, because you're giving them a decision to make. And if the decision is yes, cool. If the decision is no, cool. Where we get stuck is if we let people stay in maybe land. And when you're willing to go for no, when you're willing to not make it about you or somebody rejecting you, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to introduce this to people because I know it could help them and I'm going to give them the right to choose, then a no is just as valuable as a yes. You know why? A no frees up your time and your energy from being spent on that person in this moment. If you make a list and you go start conversations with people and you find out 14 of them were not in a position to have a further conversation with you, then you get to categorize those people differently in your CRM or your spreadsheet or wherever you keep track of what you're doing with your conversations. You can now categorize those people in a way that makes it make sense for how you utilize your time moving forward. You're like, okay, those people are no, which I just consider no's as not right now. And you put them in a different category to follow up at a different time. And now that frees up your time to go find more of the people who are in a position to have a further conversation with you about what you do. And we've also, this is the last thing I'll say, we've got to stop making it so black and white, right or wrong, client or no client. The only benefit, the benefit to having that conversation is not just whether or not you get a client. It's, are you able to stay in the game? Are you able to move things forward so that you are constantly in the conversation until that person is ready to make a decision? Because not everybody's going to be in a position to make a decision right now. So when you approach with that clean energy, that wherewithal of like, what am I actually doing here? I'm giving somebody the opportunity to make a decision. And if it's for them, cool. If it's not for them, cool. But either way, at least I gave them the right to decide for themselves, because I know that what I do is great. I know that what I offer can really help them. And I know that if I don't ask them, that they may never know. And I would not want somebody to be in that position to never know what could benefit them. At least I'm going to put it in front of them. At least I'm going to give them the option. And if it's not for them, I put them in the category of not right now, and I move on to somebody who is closer to being ready. So I had all kinds of notes here for you, but I think what came through is really what was meant to come through. And I want you to think about, what is your head trash that's going on that you can remove? How can you clean up your energy, and how you can align yourself with what you are actually doing when you're reaching out to connect with people and start conversations with people about what you do, because what you do could change someone's life or benefit them in a big way. And I think you owe it to them to give them a decision of whether it's for them or not, which is really all you're doing, putting it in front of them, giving them the right to refuse, and then going after more of the people who are ready. All right, comments. Let me know what stood out to you. My name's Nicole. I'm a sales conversation coach. I help people manage their micro conversations that turn into the macro results, because the goal really is not about winning a client. It's about staying in the conversation until that person's ready to make a decision to work with you. All right, leave me a comment. Let me know what stood out to you. I'll see you soon.